Thumbtack presents Tile Trouble. Every single time I use my sink, I make eye contact with the uneven grout on my kitchen backsplash. The crooked corners eye me, and I'm haunted by more tiling questions than I thought possible. What kind of pro can fix a backsplash? Can I replace one cracked tile, or should I replace them all? What if I just use Thumbtack? I can hire top-rated pros, read reviews, and compare prices with a tap, all on the app. Thumbtack knows homes. Download the app today.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. We're joined by Matt Brown, founder and publisher of the Extra Points newsletter covering college football. Matt, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Thanks for coming on. We've had you on before. We follow the stuff you do. We see all the stuff on social media, people referencing stuff you do. We probably have about 100 different things we could ask you about. We could keep you here the rest of the show. But if we don't ask you about Texas Tech right out of the gate, we are completely losing the plot. What did you think initially when you heard the court decision? Were you just absolutely flabbergasted? Or were you more shocked when you heard how hard Texas Tech people are defending it?
It's a little of all of the above. So when I heard about this, I was at NACDA, which is this gigantic conference of athletic directors and people that work in college sports, and this huge industry gathering. And there's loads of people who work in the Big 12 and across college sports at this event. And I could see, like with my own eyes and ears, people who are not prone to profanity or who are not prone to anger being more viscerally upset about this decision than anything I can remember in my career. Like more than Michigan sign stealing, more than any of the other specific athletic scandals. I mean, I'm putting Baylor and Penn State aside as something completely different, but a lot of legitimate fury about this. I am a little surprised to see how quickly and how publicly institutions like Nebraska and Georgia and potentially the Big Ten and SEC are saying we don't want to play these guys anymore. But that isn't something that's really happened over the last couple of decades. But the overwhelming sense that I got from talking to ADs about this over the last 2 days, which is a lot of what I've been doing, is I cannot believe that a judge ruled this. And I cannot believe even more that Texas Tech thinks it's okay. If this is not the line that we can all agree on, then clearly one does not exist.
Oh, come on, Matt. It's not like they murdered anybody.
You know, that line of whataboutism was not effective when I would give that to youth ecclesiastical leadership or my parents when I was a teenager. And I think when you're pulling that out, it is a sign that you really did do something wrong. That's something that you might expect from a congressman who's been caught cheating on a spouse, or not some kind of principled defensive behavior. I think that is ridiculous, and quite frankly, somebody who works in higher education should know better.
A lot of people would like a way out right now. What is the easiest way out? Or forget easy way out, embrace the more difficult hard way out. Oh, what do you think?
There are no easy ways, right? And there's no easy ways, I think, about any of these existential questions that we've been talking about in college sports these last couple of years. If there were easy ways, we definitely would have done them now. One of the hard ways is the Big 12 Conference Office and Big 12 presidents and ADs have to get together and decide what kind of legal exposure are we comfortable with, knowing that there's a billionaire with lots of time on his hands on the other side of the table to try to enforce something. The NCAA may be barred from by a court or a legal order from saying the guy can't play, but that doesn't mean the Big 12 can't say that or the university can't say that. And so that's one potential angle here. But if you throw that out the door, there aren't any easy solutions. And mass collective action could very well be brought with other lawsuits. I know the popular talking point right now is like, well, if we had just passed this Protect College Sports Act, none of this would be happening because the NCAA would have the authority to be able to make this ban and there'd be no problems. I have talked to some attorneys that work in this world and a congressional staffer, and there's some doubt even about that because this is about a private contract, not necessarily about NCAA regulatory rights. I really don't think there's an easy way out of all of this beyond somehow the hearts of man changing and realizing, maybe I shouldn't be betting 900 times a day on professional sports or on the teams that I'm involved with.
Yeah, for sure. If we extrapolate in terms of this kid actually playing, what does that mean? What would open the door, sort of a box, Pandora box for training now, or it's not training, gambling, I should say, going forward? Because where do you draw the line?
I legitimately, I think there is no line so long as you are financially prepared and have a jurisdiction to sue over it, right? I saw one of the Big 12 football coaches, I think a little bit facetiously saying, well, we're going to have to bring in some guys from Vegas and teach our guys how to gamble, and we'll kind of decide as a collective when we're going to play hard or not so we can maximize the spread because it's my job to prepare our athletes and help them. That, I think, is a little ridiculous. But what this will show is that any rule, meaning as long as you're not breaking federal law, is not really able to be enforced. There are lots of practical reasons why betting on your team or betting on college football, if you are a college football player, is very stupid and psychologically can mess with your performance, but not any real penalty, again, so long as you don't commit wire fraud. I don't know how widespread athlete behavior it would be for this, but what really worries me, and I've said this in Extra Points, and I've said this on the air, and I know this is not a super controversial take in this market, but I am legitimately way more worried about gambling as an existential threat to college football than I am about anything about budgets, NIL, player compensation, labor classification, or the law. Because as soon as a meaningful number of fans no longer feel like every game is on the up and up, there's no more industry. And everything else can be difficult and challenging, but there are solutions to it. If people don't trust the product, you're back to boxing, which has been mostly irrelevant in mainstream American culture now for the last 70 years.
I wonder, and I don't think it's likely, but I wonder if there is somebody with a longer range vision in Sorsby's camp. I mean, he wants to play this year and get the $5 million. He probably, like every other college player, wants to play in the NFL. The NFL has to be watching this hubbub and think, oh, we are going to draw a line when he comes to us. We're not getting sucked into this. And they've shown that because they've got the collective bargaining agreement and the antitrust stuff, they can and have suspended people before. If you're playing the long game for the NFL, if you think you're that good, and there's probably a question about whether he's that good or not, but you could go to the NFL right now and say, hey, I'm thinking about not playing. This is too much. What's the deal? Have his lawyer set up. You're going to suspend him for a year. We'll just take it. We'll say all the right things and make you look good. He's going to have to sit out at some point anyway, and it might set him up better in the NFL. And NFL teams might think, oh, well, the kid's really growing up here and realizes he has a problem. I need to focus on myself for the next year. Yeah, I've got the legal right to do this, and I have a hard time believing after going all the trouble of doing this that they'll do anything other than try to play. But I do think the NFL's waiting, and they're going to drop the hammer.
Yeah, I think the argument that you're making here, I think could have very plausibly made sense 2 months ago. Yeah. But my understanding is that the deadline to file for the supplemental draft and whether we're going to have one or not is already passed. It would have been plausible to say, I'm going to take the year off, I'm going to work out, I'm going to stay in the hospital, and I'm going to see if the Browns will trade a third-round pick in the supplemental draft to take me, and I'll prepare that way. The cynical answer, I think, is, there's going to be concerns about the NFL, but we've seen a lot of people in the NFL who have done way worse things than this get picked highly and given extensions and given leeway. The question is how good you are. And I actually do think there is something to the idea that even if Sorsby is a top 8 NFL quarterback prospect in his class, maybe higher, that the psychological toll of all of this and then the enormous pressure and bullseye that's going to be on his back whenever he plays could damage his stock significantly. Because it's one thing to say, to get drafted in a hypothetical potential. But then if your last year of college tape is bad if Texas Tech, with their schedule, which is certainly not very strong, performs worse than they did last year, then yeah, you're looking at I made $5 million this year, and now I'm a 5th round pick, and I'm on the Buccaneers or something. I don't have much of a career. That's the gamble. $5 million is a lot of money to turn down, though, especially given how much you might have lost in gambling.
Cody Campbell, the Texas Tech billionaire booster, chairman of the regions and all that stuff, he views himself as sort of a statesman in terms of reforming college athletics and has access to people that most folks don't have. But through this, I think it's damaging his reputation and, most importantly, his credibility. What do you think?
Unquestionably, right? Like this is not a secret, and I'm saying this as someone who's covered the political developments of the Protect College Sports Act pretty closely. I've talked to a lot of staffers on the Republican and Democratic side preparing that bill. Campbell's influence was massive. I mean, I'm not saying he wrote the thing, but he was his voice was recognized more than anybody else's, and because he has more money than most of these senators to put out television ads and to lobby, he is enormously connected with these college reform efforts. Ones that I think, if they happen, will disproportionately benefit schools like Texas Tech. And there was a time when I think you could claim, yeah, I may be in favor of Texas Tech, but I'm not as conflicted as the Big Ten or the SEC or some of these other lawmakers. I can't be bought. Whatever kind of credibility you want to have as a statesman goes out the door when you show up on Dan Dakich's show and try to insinuate that the college football world is angry because they want to keep Texas Tech down and that they would somehow excuse this behavior from LSU. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you would expect to see on one of the bad 247 message boards.
Yeah, it's fan stuff.
Yeah, like this is not something that you expect from a guy who's trying to do something very difficult,
right? Which
is thread a complicated bill through one of the most politically divided times since the Civil War, and to get 60 votes. I think it'll be easier for someone to look and say, you know what, this guy can go to hell, and ignore it because of the stuff that he's doing here. So one of the difficult things about being a billionaire in this country is that no one is around you to put their arm around you and say, I love you. You need to log off.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing. He refuses to log off.
Yeah, he just comes across as a fanboy.
And I know a lot of stuff, things can change quickly in sports, but right now I just get the feeling like, forget influence. I don't think anybody wants to be in a room with him. I mean, I'm talking other presidents, other ADs. I think it goes back to what you said earlier about that visceral reaction people had. People who don't swear are swearing. People who don't get loud, get loud. People who don't get angry. I don't even think they want to be in a room with him. I think the influence is gone.
Yeah, it's the money in this isn't a partisan statement, right? But like if you have enough money in politics, people who really don't like you will find a way to swallow their pride and show up for a picture or a dinner. But the last 48 hours have not crowned him, and for that matter, I think the university in glory. You look at what Kirby Hocutt put out as his official statement. He's the athletic director, and it's like, I recognize that people feel really conflicted about this. It's difficult. We want to support this young man. He needs structure, trying to be kind of more high-minded and professional. And then you got your football coach saying, I didn't kill anybody. And then you've got your booster, regent / owner saying, like, y'all are just haters. I'll see you in court. It kind of undermines any kind of high-minded argument that they're trying to make,
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think if the Big 12 can come up with some form of suspension that is certainly stiffer and more penalized than 2 games that they'll win if I'm quarterback, that if they can do that, and then Texas Tech continues to fight it, which is what they're basically saying, that the public then is going to view this as, well, we are trying to win football games at all costs, and whatever the crap you do, we're not going to let you do it, because the essence isn't to help a young man, it's to win football games. And their message then becomes worse and worse the longer this goes, and maybe they might say, my gosh, we are running up against this here. Sorsby, sorry, son. We want to help you, but it's just not worth it, because what's it going to do to our rep and our integrity as a football program and a university is going to take a major hit. And we're already buying most of our team. And last year it was just their defense. They literally had guys that were most of the guys were just there for one season. And we had
Sure.
a kid, or not a kid, a producer who served his mission in Lubbock, and he said nobody goes to Lubbock on purpose. They go for reasons, whether you're called there or you're lured there by the money. So the point being, in a roundabout way, is Texas Tech is going to look bad the longer they try to resist efforts to not have this happen.
I'm sure that that's true. I think the cynical answer here, though, is we have a lot of years of data to show that a lot of institutions are willing to make that gamble and say, so what? The public gets mad at them, and then they'll either eventually find something else to be mad at, or it doesn't matter because the banner hangs.
Right, but this is gambling, though. This is the one sacred cow that you cannot violate.
Yeah, well, that would be what every athletic director in this conference thinks, and many coaches, and we'll see. I think many other institutions would have reached the exact same conclusion that you just described there. Texas as a whole is different. If there's one thing generational Texans really do not like, it is being told what to do by somebody who is not in Texas. Regardless of, even if it's like, hey, go brush your teeth. Like, no, screw you. I don't let my teeth rot out. Go Texas. There's a little bit of that, a little bit of that here too. And they think that they have an opportunity to not only win a championship, but potentially put themselves in position to be in a super league, right? That if you don't win now, you're risking existential harm because, like you said, you don't go to Lubbock on purpose. West Texas is beautiful, but it's also kind of like Mars. And you're not in this massive television market like other places. I don't agree with that thinking, but if you're already this pot committed, I can understand why somebody associated with that program would just say, screw it. Lord knows that people at LSU have made that calculation before. People at Baylor have made that calculation, Michigan, Ohio State. It's certainly not unique to Texas Tech.
I do wonder, and you make a very good point about Texas and Texas's attitude towards the rest of the world. I got a friend from college living in Dallas now, and I've got a family on my wife's side from there. That's not the first time I've heard something like that said. Yeah. So I totally back you up on that, but I do wonder inside of Texas, and back to your earlier point about there's no one to tell a billionaire to log off. I don't know Texas politics, but running the Board of Regents there, do you answer to the governor or the state legislature who might have ties to Texas or Texas A&M? Is there literally someone who can tell Cody and Texas Tech, hey, knock it off? Or maybe there isn't. Maybe they really are, a country unto themselves out there in West Texas.
I think it's a little bit more the latter. The only exception would be, this is a little bit of an open secret around Washington, that Campbell's dream job is to replace Ted Cruz and win and become the next senator from Texas and be an heir to a new kind of conservative populist lawmaker. And if that is your true biggest goal, then yes, I could see some other people on the other side of the state saying like, hey, man, do you want to make every single Republican mega donor in Dallas hate your guts? Because that's a great way to not win anything. But if that isn't your ultimate goal, if your ultimate goal is just glory to Red Raider Nation, yeah, I don't think the governor, lieutenant governor, the Space Force, and anybody, I don't think it can really make you stand down unless it's the money in Lubbock, and he's got quite a bit of it.
If Texas Tech gets really beaten up and every time they go on the road and this is a massive distraction and somehow they screw this up, who stands to benefit in the Big 12 on the field this year?
Yeah, that is actually a really good question because both the fun thing about this league and the potentially frustrating thing about this league is the difference between the best team and like the ninth team is way smaller than it is in any other power conference. I would imagine on the field it seems like the general sports writer consensus is that BYU and Utah are going to be or should expect to be in conversation for the 2, 3, 4 spot in this league. And if Texas Tech stumbles, they could be in a position to compete. But if we wanted to sit here and this is pre-media day and trying to figure out the too deep for everywhere, if you wanted to passionately argue for one of the Arizonas, or for a different institution, I guess really anybody other than Cincinnati, I think I would say sure, I'd listen. There's very few teams in this league that I would say, oh, there's no chance that they have a potential to compete, especially after what we saw with Arizona State 2 years ago. when I think there was a good argument like this should be one of the 5 worst teams in the Power 4, and they made the playoff and almost beat Texas.
Matt, we will leave it right there. We appreciate the time and all the energy and passion. Thanks for joining us, and people can check you out. Extra Points newsletter covering college football. He is Matt Brown, the founder and publisher. Thanks, Matt.
Yep, you bet. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
DJ PK coming up top of the hour. Brian Geltzeiler joins us. Yes, there'll be Springsteen music and much talk of how in the world the Spurs managed to blow a 29-point lead and how did the Knicks come back. That's coming up at the top of the hour. Stay with us.
Summer is all about freedom, fun, and growing up. And between the ages of 9 and 13, kids are starting to form their views about alcohol. With more independence, their still developing brains need more guidance and support than ever. That's why summer is the perfect time to stay connected and plan fun, safe family activities together. Research shows kids who spend quality time with their parents doing what they enjoy are less likely to drink underage. And when kids feel close to you, they're more likely to listen, especially when you set clear expectations. In fact, kids who drink before 15 are far more likely to struggle with alcohol later. This summer, create a no-bummer summer with fun, alcohol-free activities for your kids. Go to summer.parentsempowered.org to take a quick quiz and discover ideas tailored to your family. A little time together can make a big difference. For more information and to learn more about how to prevent underage drinking, visit parentsempowered.org.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did she have to fight a dragon?
Nope, she bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.